It's another Friday night here on West Ham Fan TV, Friday Night Pint Live. And listen, debate is running rife on the internet. Antonio has come out and criticised the fans that are criticising Harry Maguire, calling it embarrassing, the criticism of Harry Maguire. And there are some fans biting back, calling Antonio a hypocrite for his comments on Richarlison. We're going to debate the situation, see where we fall on the equation, get the live chats. Comments in. If you're watching this pre-recorded or after the fact, put your comments down below and we'll be responding to some of them. But I'm joined here with Scott, and Graham is back in the house. Evening, lads.
Evening, all right, mate. You all right? How's your week been? How's your week been, gents? All right?
Been good, mate. Been good. Been working on a lot of channel stuff, a lot of stuff for the old channel. So been, while it's been sunny, I've just been here in this chair in front of this computer. This has been my life, and now this is my Friday night. But it's all good, mate. Excited for the game tomorrow.
Don't lie, Dan. We saw you at the Orbit. We saw you there at the pub doing your preview.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's it. I got away to go and do more filming, and come back here and edit it.
It's an excuse to go down the pub, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. Listen, I wish
I'm working. Yeah,
working. Yeah, that's it.
I've been to the pub today, and I was working while I was at the pub. So now I'm home here and with you guys.
I hadn't been to the pub today.
Yeah. Well, see, get a better job.
Thanks for dragging yourself away, Scott. We appreciate that. Come and join us. But we'll also touch a bit on obviously the Man City game. Scott has got a preview out with Ryan. Please check that out. He's going to the starting 11, all of that stuff. I've done fancier graphics now. It all animates. It's lovely.
I must admit, mate, it looks very good. It looks very good. I was impressed.
Cheers, mate. I tell you what.
But Dan, as Roy Keane says, it's your job.
Well, yeah, it is your job when you get paid for it. But
I'm only winding up, Dan. It looks really good, mate. It does look good.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. But I tell you what, someone who wasn't impressed recently is our very own Michail Antonio. Obviously, England played international break. Harry Maguire was on the end of a lot of criticism again. Spotlight was on him. Scored an own goal, and Antonio has obviously had his podcast and he's addressed the criticism. So we're going to I'll read the quotes from Antonio for those who haven't heard it, and then we'll get into that and all this Maguire stuff, where we land on it. It's a crazy situation. But he said, I've never seen this in football, how one person can be absolutely destroyed anytime he does anything wrong, even when it's not his fault and he's just involved in it. People do forget that people are human, and obviously this will affect them mentally. He went from being an unbelievable centre-half, I think one of the best in the Premier League when he was at Hull and Leicester, to half a man. He's trying to stay strong to rebuild himself. He believes in his ability. Right now, it's just not working for him. When I saw Gareth Southgate speak up, I was like, well done. It should have been brought up before. It's been a whole 2 years. It's half a man. I don't know what he meant by that.
Do you know what, Dan? I can't with the England stuff. I mean, as Scott said before, he's never let us down in an England shirt, has he? So I can't understand. And it was a freak own goal. It's one of those. He's had to go for it. It could have been. It could have been anyone on the end of that.
He attempted it though, don't you think, Gray? Like it was sort of a lazy, just stick my leg out, rather than I'm either gonna really throw myself.
Yeah, but the thing is, mate, he don't intentionally score an own goal. He didn't do it intentionally, and the abuse he's getting for it is unreal.
Listen, I'll be honest. I'll blame Southgate for bringing him on. It's sometimes you've got to protect players, and look, Maguire's a quality player, the quality centre half. Look, I think he's been made a scapegoat for a lot of Manchester United's problems.
Yes.
Man United got a lot of issues all the way through that club, and I think Maguire's the easy target. The guy's never let England down. He started against the Ukraine. He didn't have a bad game against them. And for me, against Scotland, there was no reason for Southgate to bring him on. It's a pointless friendly. Use one of the other players in the squad. I don't get this with Southgate. We were comfortable at the time, and you've got other players in that squad to use. So use them. Don't throw someone who's under a lot of criticism into the firing line when you don't need to. Protect the player a bit. And it's Maguire is Southgate's go-to centre half. He's the one that Southgate picks every time because he has never let England down. And touch wood, let's hope it continues. He hasn't let England down.
At the World Cup, he was one of our best players.
Exactly. But just take him out the firing line a bit. Give the guy a break, And I think as much as Southgate was right to come out and defend in the way he did, Southgate's partly to blame for putting him in that situation.
Yeah, and this is. I think you're bang on, Scott, and I thought the same thing because you look at it. He is someone. His confidence is quite low right now. There's a lot going on at the club. He's not playing. He's like the fourth choice centre back, and
the thing is,
still
Dan,
still starting.
I think it says a lot about his character that he was. I mean, I know we was annoyed with all the back and forth, but it stated that he didn't want to come to us. That's fair enough. I think it says a lot about his character. He wants to stay and fight for his place.
The thing is, I don't know about that, Gray, because the thing is, he was willing to come if they paid him out, right? There was a lot of negotiation over paying out his contracts. Yeah. And that seemed to be what it was. He didn't want to come to us,
though. We should, once he said he didn't want to come, we should have just.
I agree. I think. Completely agree. Yeah, on our end, yeah. Like we pursued it to them because when someone's saying that, I want 12 million to leave and go to this club, we should have stepped out. But I think for him, it seems to be about the money. He don't want to take. He knows if he comes to West Ham, we're not going to pay him anywhere near what Man United are going to take him. So he wants that payoff. So he's financially no worse off. But when you look at it in terms of being a player, this is again. It goes back to Southgate. I don't want to dwell. We spoke quite a bit about Southgate's team selections with how he does things. Henderson playing, even
he's going on club badge, with. I mean, to be Calvin Phillips had a good game, I thought, the other night, but should he have been picked? He's barely played.
Barely played football, and this is the thing. It's a friendly.
He hasn't played. Yeah, bar friendlies. He hasn't played any competitive football for City yet this season. So should he have been picked?
No, I don't think so. And like Henderson's gone to Saudi Arabia, so he said to Jack Grealish when Villa got relegated, "You're going to need to be playing Premier League football. You have to play football at the highest level to get picked." Yeah. But which is Henderson is playing Saudi Arabia and he's getting picked.
Yeah. He's got his. I think Southgate is. When he first started, he was picking players on form regardless of what club they played for. But I think now he's got his. As Scott said, he's got his go-to players and his favourites, and he'll pick them regardless.
I think this squad that Southgate picked for these internationals was more based upon players that have played for him in the past, more than players that are playing well. If Maguire, Phillips, and Henderson are in the next England squad, Henderson playing in Saudi Arabia and Maguire and Phillips not playing any games, then the guy has to look at himself and realise that he's making a mistake. Look, you can criticise Southgate, and he gets a lot of unfair criticism. Look, I ain't his biggest fan. I still believe we lost that Euro final because of his negligence to go on the attack. We lost the semi-final in the World Cup. Again, same thing. We had the game there to be won, and I think his lack of bottle and pushing for a winner cost us. But at the end of the day, he's achieved more as an England manager than any other England manager since 1966. So, you've got to give the guy credit. He knows what he's doing. He picks players. He's come out and said why he picks Calvin Phillips, because he's the only other Englishman that plays a similar role to Declan Rice. Whether we agree or not, look, Phillips shouldn't be in the squad because he's not playing club football. But at the end of the day, if you're picking a setup and that's your setup, you need players who can play in that position. So I get it. We all know I'm not a Calvin Phillips fan. I think he's overrated, but I see why he gets in the England squad. But I just feel that Southgate don't protect certain people when he should.
No, and that's the thing. I think he has to see it instead, because I agree. Like what Southgate has said in the post-match interview, yeah, okay, he's right. You know, it is over the top, like the way fans are of him. But at the end of the day, that's not going to change anything. Him making that speech, you're not going to. The only thing you can change is taking him out of the spotlight, taking the pressure off him, and let him try and, you know, sort himself out, get his confidence back, and things like that, and putting him on in these high pressure situations. It's just going to make things worse. And fans even more angry because they see it as you're playing someone persistently who we all think is not good enough to be there regardless. And it puts the pressure on him.
But he may look at it as he's trying to give him the opportunity to play his way, like play himself out of the slump that he's in.
Well, that's a risk.
You know,
that's
give him the opportunity to play the minutes, get the minutes under your belt, play the football, to get yourself out of the slump or the rut.
That's a risk, though, isn't it? Then so
I'll
that's
be
why
honest.
he's taking big butts then, and we're not.
But it's a risk. You're taking a risk with not a risk in terms of the team, but a risk with Maguire and his well-being, his mental well-being. Because,
but then the thing is, Dan, if he goes to him, are you okay? Do you feel in the right frame of mind to play? And if the player says yes, then you've got to go with the player.
You can't. Yeah, but you can't give him that option, Gray. You've got to as the manager, you've got to say, listen, I'm pulling you out. I just want to give you a bit of time aside, take some of that pressure off. I'm making a decision. If you ask any player, like you said, Gray, if you ask a player,
any player's going to say yes, because I don't want to be pulled out of any squad.
Exactly. So that's why you don't ask them. You tell them. You make the decision. You're the manager.
But then it's the same thing as if you've got your star player and they're injured, and you go to them. Do you reckon you could get through this 90? It's the same sort of thing, isn't it?
So if you look at it from that perspective of your star player, right, let's go back to when Tottenham were in the Champions League final. Their star player potentially cost them winning the Champions League.
But the manager would have said to him, he obviously wanted him in the team.
Yeah, but when you look at that situation, the manager's at fault for going to the player, are you fit enough to play? You know, knowing full well he's not. The player, again, himself should have gone to the gaffer. Look, gaffer, I ain't 100% fit. Play this guy, give me half hour at the end. Yeah. And things might have turned out differently. And this is the thing. You can't... The player needs to be honest with himself. Every player wants to play. You know, you don't play football and then sit there and you get to a cup final. You're representing your country. You don't sit there and go, the gaffer comes, he goes, "You good?" Yeah, I'm good. I want to play. But the gaffer then ceases to sit there and look at it and think, well, you know what? The situation you've been in a minute, this is a pointless friendly against Scotland. You ain't got to play. I've got other players. There's other players I want to look at. I can take you out of that limelight, let you have a break. And he had the option to do it. He didn't do it. So he has to take part of the plane. But with Maguire, I think his ego as well is costing him, because he should have left United. Coming to us would have been a big thing for him in his career, because it would have reignited his career. He chose to stay at United. He's chose to stay fourth choice at United through money. Look, we know money talks. You know, money talks be on it. Yeah, that is it. He weren't going to get the money he was. Man United don't want to pay him out. They want him off the books, but don't want to pay the money for him. Otherwise, if they wanted to keep paying him, they'll keep him on. But at the end of the day, he would have been better for his career to drop out of that Man United side, drop out of that limelight, come and play for a club like West Ham, still getting European football, still in a team that's still going to be competing within that top 10, pushing for a European place. And as we saw with Jesse when he come, reigniting your career, getting yourself back to that ability, he chose not to.
Yeah. And you know what? We're going to get to the second part, and the second part will answer your question of why we're talking about Maguire. Obviously, you weren't here for the start, Bill, but we're going to get to that. I'm going to take some comments. I'm going to get to the second part of this debate. Let me just quickly. Matt Powell says, "Hey Dan, will there be a Hammer It Out podcast this week?" I have to ask Nicky. I stepped in for him last week, but he hasn't told me anything about it. It's usually he that manages it. Him and Ryan, for those who don't know, are at the Paolo Di Canio night this evening.
E13 events are hosting a night with Paolo Di Canio, hosted by Tony Quay.
Yeah, there you go. So obviously, there's no point me telling you go down and check it. It's a bit late now, but next time. Mr. C says he has to. This is kind of what you've said there, Scott. He has to assess himself and to take the heat off by playing for a less prominent club. But as you said, he wants the money, so hard luck. Yep, that's it. That's it, Mr. C. Graham Wolk says, Phil for Maguire, no one deserves the criticism he gets. That being said, I'm glad we didn't sign him. His heart wasn't in the move. Spot on, mate. Don B says, a lot of Maguire criticism is self-inflicted. Nobody is denying he's a decent centre-half, but he's arrogant and big-headed attitude, especially towards us signing him, has contributed massively. Dug himself in a bit of a hole, it seems. Good old Philip Demicoli said, I said to my dad once the own goal went in, all you'll hear is how bad Maguire is, and I feel for him. It is beyond a joke, and Banter can go too far. What's going to happen if it gets worse for him? Well, this is it. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here with it? But yeah, Southgate has to put the spotlight on him by playing him after the club form. What did he expect? It's banter more than abuse anyway. Yeah, it's the thing. It's worse when you're so high profile, like everyone's talking about it, so the banter is just really on it. Half a man sounds like he's slagging him off. I don't think Antonio has the best way with words. I don't think he was intending to slag him off. Maguire for Red 5, Maguire for England is like when Moyes played Soucek regardless of form last season. That is the thing. And I said that on Soucek last season because Soucek was getting so much criticism. It's like on the manager, it's not Soucek's fault at the end of the day. It's the manager for picking him. So if he's keeping playing and he's not putting in performances, the manager's job to go, right, I'm dropping you. I'm going to put someone else in. You play your way back in. But the player's the one who gets a lot of the heat, even though they don't pick themselves. But it's the second...
Very similar to the Kevin Nolan. When Kevin Nolan was towards his end of his West Ham career, he took a lot of criticism from West Ham fans about his performances. But at the end of the day, if the manager picks him, he's going to give his all. And it just, it wasn't good enough. And sometimes you have that. Look, if a player's fit and the manager wants you to play, like you said, unless your head's not right, you're going to play. But you have to be honest with yourself that if you're not fully fit, then you say to the gaffer, look, I ain't fully fit. But like you said, with Soucek last season, he wasn't having the best of seasons. His form was terrible. His running stats were still good. Yeah. His defensive stats were still good. But that is what Moyes picks Soucek for. Moyes, I feel, doesn't care that he can't spray the ball around left, right, centre like Ward-Prowse or Paquetá. Moyes sees Soucek as, look, he's reliable. He wins the ball in the air. He's going to put the tackles in. He covers more ground than most other players. That's why Moyes picks him, because he's a Moyes player.
Yeah,
and that is why he got in. That is why he got in the squad. Now, it wasn't how bad he was on the ball. We all knew that. He probably knows himself. He ain't the best player on the ball, but there are better players there. But Moyes picks him because Moyes knows exactly what he's going to get out of him.
The worst thing is, and it's like Moyes' style of play. I was just going to say, sorry, I'll let you come in a sec. Right? I just want to say the thing is, what makes it worse is Soucek. Say when we got that win over Chelsea, right? I mean, I said he was terrible in the first, but when we were actually, went down to 10 men, we got it over the line, and what Soucek was doing worked for that situation. You're like, yeah, okay, I understand Soucek being in this team. It works for that. But when you're losing week in, week out, and then you're watching a player like Soucek, be completely ineffective, then you're like, why? Like, it's not working. We're losing week in, week out. The guy's looking terrible. What are we doing here? And it's the same with the style of play. If it's not working, if we're losing week in, week out, and we're playing crap football, you just can't tolerate it. And you want to see something else. If you're winning, then it's fine, if you're winning. Steve Bell was in the chat. I did a Man City preview, and that's what I was saying. When some people say he's a box to box, he just runs from one box to the other box. That's what I was saying, but without the ball. He doesn't progress the ball from one box to another box. He just runs back and forth to bring boxes.
Yeah, the thing is, Dan, with that analogy, at the end of the day, if he puts in important tackles or important headers in the defensive box and then gets himself into a position where he can score a goal, that's realistically, he does lack that in his game, of the past season and a half. He's not scoring enough goals.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the thing that sort of papered over
But
the weaknesses is the goals, wasn't it? We overlooked him on the ball. Sorry, Gray, what was you going to say, mate?
no, I was going to say, I think so far this season, although it hasn't been spectacular by any stretch of imagination, I think Soucek has been better than he was last season, and I think that's because we have now have a more balanced squad like midfield, and he can get forward a little bit more and get on the end of crosses, because again he has been causing problems in the box again, which he wasn't last season.
And I think a lot of his strengths, because there was a lot of talk about that, wasn't it? Because he's good in the in the box.
He's the sort of player. He arrives late in the box, causes a bit of mayhem. You know, even if he's not scoring, he's occupying the centre half, or it allows someone else to ghost in.
Yeah, exactly. But I think a lot of his strengths are defensively, and that's when you see the better of him. Like that Chelsea, when they were on top, we were pinned back and they had 10 men.
He was throwing himself into everything, and that's
yeah.
We've got ball press, we've got Pakatano. They're our ball players like Bowen, Ben Rama. They're our ball players. You need them in there to break it up. Give the ball to one of them. They'll do something with it. It's when we start trying to play a little bit of possession and asking him to start getting on the ball a little bit. That's when it all unravels a little for him, I think. But I think as a throwing himself in the way of everything, causing a bit of carnage in the opposition box, and winning the headers from corners in our box, he's fantastic. It's just when we have to try and sort of be a bit intricate in the middle, it sort of unravels a little bit.
Absolutely.
But you need players like that in there. You need players like that alongside your ball playing midfielders.
But I think it's situational. I don't think necessarily every game calls for a Soucek. Sometimes we
it doesn't. But I think we've got the players in the middle now. We can rotate it a little bit. We've got Alvarez. In there as well. So you can rotate it around a little bit now, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, Steve. If we beat Man City, I'll drink a cup of tea on the next Friday night pint. If we beat Man City, I'm putting that out there. Honestly. But the second part of that, because we pivoted off to Soucek, but I think that was a good debate, a good chat where we sort of all agree. But yeah, a lot of people, like I said, are really sort of calling out Antonio and calling him a hypocrite, because obviously on his podcast last season, him and Phillips were roasting, really bantering Richarlison on his goal scoring, because a lot of his goals didn't count. And he said, like, the guy took off his shirt 4 times, and there's no goal to show for it, even though he took off his shirt to celebrate. Richarlison took exception to that. Apparently said he wouldn't shake his hand, like either of their hands when he saw them. And people are like, you're calling out fans that are bantering and going on at Maguire. But then you said that about Richarlison. And as you touched on earlier, Scott, like, since that's come out, a lot of issues have come out about apparently Richarlison's dealing with mental health issues. So people are sort of pointing back at Antonio, like, maybe have a look in the mirror. I mean, what do you guys reckon?
The thing with Richarlison, the comment that he said about him, that is banter. Do you know what I mean? That is. It's not what Maguire's getting is 100 times worse than that comment that made. That is a joke comment of the guy took his shirt off celebrating more times than he's actually scored a goal. That's a joke. It's banter. There's no. It's not. Look, Richarlison's took it as offensive. That's his opinion. That's it, and that's him. Look, it's aimed at him. That's his opinion to take it that way. But at the end of the day, that's banter. What Harry Maguire's getting is gone beyond banter.
But no, the problem is he can say, but there's no one pointing out like specifics of this is what he's got and this is what there's people that obviously call him a fridge, right? Is he talking about that? Like, what? I need him to point to specifics, because every player gets on social media, especially, gets messages that just go too far. He's not an exception to that. So I would want him to come out and say, well, what are we talking about?
Yeah, but when you look at Antonio himself, the amount of abuse he gets at times. You know, it's there. Look, it's a thin line between what is banter and what is uncalled for abuse. Yeah, whether people put it across it, oh, it's banter. There's a line. You know when you've crossed the line. You know when a bit of banter crosses the line and you've gone too far. And every player. We used to play football, Gray. You know, when you made a mistake in a game, you get ribbed for it in the dressing room. You know, you might get ribbed for it at training the next week. You know, and then someone else goes. You know, we used to have things in football clubs like donkey of the week. Yeah. So, like, someone would make a mistake in a game on a Saturday and then turn up at training and you were donkey of the week.
Yeah, you had to wear the bib with a
bib. Yeah, you know, that was banter because you made it. It was a laugh because you made this mistake. You know, you looked a bit silly, but it was a laugh, right? And it stopped that week because then someone else was donkey of the week.
Someone else, unless you mucked up again.
Yeah, it was just tough luck if you were the guy that messed up 2 weeks in the spin. You know.
The problem is you didn't have millions of fans watching. You'd be a donkey that week.
That's it. But when you look at the criticism that Richarlison gets, you know, he gets it. You know, he's a Spurs player, so he's going to get it from West Ham fans and Arsenal fans because they don't like Spurs. He gets it from Liverpool fans because he used to play for Everton. You know, so it's drawing the line of what is banter and what's too far. Antonio's comments about the Richarlison with taking his shirt off, in my opinion, is just banter. It's taking the mickey out of the guy because he celebrates, rips his shirt off, and he ain't scored the goal.
It is the problem, though, Scott. No, go on, Greg, before I count.
No, I was saying, like, you know, Scott, you know, he was 50p head. I had the turning circle of the Titanic. You know, it was, you know, a lot of ribbing going on. But
the thing is with Antonio, and I think the difference is between him is he's a active football player with a massive following, a very popular podcast, and while in isolation, his comments were pretty harmless. It was something that, you know, any fan, we might say something like that on here, but in that spotlight, is he not inciting more of that on Richarlison to the point where it becomes a pile-on? Like, as a fellow professional, the voice that he has, you know, putting that spotlight on Richarlison, who's probably beating himself up because, yeah, he's desperate to score and he hasn't scored and they've paid a lot of money for him. That's kind of bringing that to Richarlison, and he's sort of stoking the flames. And this comes back to what we've all said on this channel. Every single one of us is shouldn't have a podcast while he's playing. You know,
no, he shouldn't have a podcast while he's playing. And what you're saying there is right. It's one of those things where, you know, he should have a bit more of a professional approach as a still playing
as a fellow professional.
Yeah, but
maybe
at the end of the day, it's banter between two opposition players.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, going back to when you're playing the game, you know, you know, strikers used to get a load of abuse off the centre halves. It's part and parcel of it.
Well, if it was like when we played, like, first few minutes, you'd have a little wind up with a striker, and you thought if he bites, you go, right, we've got him, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everyone would be like, you go, right, he's going to bite, and then everyone would, like, all the defenders are getting his ear roll, try and get. But then it stayed on. It was on the pitch after. That was it. It was done. You know, but maybe is it because it happened? It wasn't during a game. It was on a podcast. It was outside of the match environment. Maybe
the thing is, we've got to separate criticism and abuse, because what Antonio was mentioned was criticism. The criticism that Maguire gets is embarrassing. He's not used the word abuse, right? He's suggesting that he's overly criticized by fans, and the criticism of him is embarrassing. Now, fans saying, I don't think Maguire's good enough. I think he's crap. He had a terrible game. He shouldn't have played again. That, I don't see any problem with that. There's no problem. And if multiple and a large portion of fans are saying it, then that's just how the fan base feels. And, you know, it's up to the player and the manager to prove the fan base wrong. So him saying it's embarrassing, I think it's crazy, because you look at and you see this, what other players have really gone through. David Beckham, they was hanging effigies of him in the streets, and stuff like that. Southgate himself, what he was on the end of.
But
in
do
the
you,
90s.
do you think that what he's trying to get at is that he's been England's best centre half for a long period of time, and it's just do you know what I mean? He's getting to it from that point of view, that the abuse he's getting from England fans is a bit uncalled for, or criticism criticism he's getting is a bit uncalled for, because, as I said, he's basing that opinion on the Scotland game when he come on as sub and scored an own goal. Like you said, he didn't intentionally score an own goal.
No,
the same when I think he refers. Does he refer to the one that ball hit him in the face?
Yeah.
Or whether that was in one of the comments. But at the end of the day, the ball hit him in the face and went in. Weren't his fault. It hit him in the face and went in. That's criticism, and it's uncalled for criticism from that point of view. But when it's banter, it's banter. It's funny that the ball hit him in the face and went in the goal. But you can't sit there and criticise the player's performance because that happened to him.
Any time, though, and I think this is the thing, when fans feel like you shouldn't be in the team to begin with, and this goes back to the idea that should players that aren't playing, that aren't first choice or even second choice, that barely playing any football, be picked. Now, obviously, you have that debate of, he's worked for England before, but when fans, and England fans are made up of fans of multiple different clubs that see their players in their teams and feel like their players aren't getting a fair shake, right? They ain't getting the opportunities, and who play for their clubs and perform week in, week out. And they see Maguire getting picked, who's fourth choice at Man United. Any time now, after he has been picked and has given that vote of confidence by the manager over all these other players who do play week in, week out, the spotlight's going to be on him. So when he does make a mistake, people are going to be more on it, because they're like, well, you've
unfit. But then that goes back to what Scott was saying earlier about the manager.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not, you can't blame Maguire. Like we're saying, if the manager goes, any player would do it. Scott, how many times did we do it when we was playing? We were injured. You was going to struggle to play. Manager goes, "You like to play?" You go, "Yeah."
Exactly, because you want it.
So yeah.
But the thing is like when we look at it at the England point of view, James Ward-Prowse and Jarrod Bowen not getting called up for England. The form that they've started the season in. Bowen, all right, you can sit there and say he's got a tougher route into the side because England have got a lot of quality wingers. Ward-Prowse, should have been in there over Henderson, should have been over there over Phillips, without foul. But as a West Ham fan, I'm quite glad they weren't in there. I'm quite glad they overlooked. When it comes to the tournament and the season's finish, I want West Ham players representing England because it shows how good West Ham have been, that our players are being picked to represent our country. But at the moment, when it's the season and we're playing pointless friendlies and playing against the Ukraine side, that you can build them up as much as you want at being a good side. They're not great. We wiped the floor of them, just couldn't score. And you don't need our best players on form playing in these games. And I'm glad Ward-Prowse and Bowen didn't get picked because they're fresh for the next game.
But for me, it's you want your players to, like you say, if they're playing at the highest level, international level, it's a good reflection of your club. But in the back of my mind, every time our players go, I just think of Ashton.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had the best track record as well with just form after, like Bowen, when he got called up, his form nosedived massively. When Creswell got called up, his form nosedived. When Antonio got called up and didn't play, but his form nosedived. So we don't have the best, apart from Rice, I have the best track record when players get called up. But yeah, it's a weird. Listen, I think criticism is completely fine. Everyone's entitled to give their own opinion as long as it doesn't cross over to the level of abuse, and really, sending him direct messages and all of that stuff is bang out of order.
But, I mean, the thing is that it's like you never know what's going on in somebody's personal life or private life.
But the thing is, I agree with what you're saying, Greg. But the problem is when you look at
No, but when it goes beyond the football, when it goes beyond
yeah, of
football,
course it does. Yeah, when it goes beyond the football, yeah. But the thing is, I look at is that when we criticize players, I feel that if you're going to criticize a player,
if you're criticising their footballing, things to do with football, when it starts getting personal,
personal.
then that crosses a line. And like you say, you don't know what's going on in people's personal life.
Yeah, and the thing is that does me is that if you criticise a player like we do, we criticise a players week in, week out. That's doing this thing. But the end that you criticise someone for when they do something wrong, you've got to be man enough to stand up and praise a player when he does something right.
Yeah, of course. It works both ways.
And that's the thing with football and us being football fans, your criticism on players is based upon a week in, week out philosophy of them playing for your football club. And then you assess it at the end of the season. But as I said, if you're going to have a pop at a player when he does something wrong, look, me and Dan got called out so many times because we criticised Jared Bowen at the start. Was it last season, Dan, or the season before? When he wasn't
season before, when he went on to have that really good season, wasn't it? It was that season before.
We criticised his start of the season, said he needs to work on his finishing, his decision making in the final third. Then he started playing really well, and everyone's going, "Oh, you two, you were slagging him off and all that. You don't like." No, we were criticising his performances.
Yeah,
and then we turned around and said, "He's improved that. He's improved that. He's up that part of his game, and he's got better and better and better. And now we're seeing a better Jared Bowen."
Yeah, but that's not you sitting there going, "Oh, he's this, that, he's that." You're saying if he improved that, it'd be,
Yeah.
But you would like I suppose if it gets to that point where it never improves, you're gonna get fed up and you're gonna get frustrated and go, "Why are we persisting with him? He's not improving. He can't score goals. His decision making is terrible, but we keep persisting." Then you just get fed up, didn't you? It's one of them ones. But look, it's with Maguire, it actually brings me into the next thing because it's very interesting about Maguire. Obviously, a lot of people wanted him to come in. Cheers, Lee, up the hammers.
A lot of all the ones up where everyone's going, "Oh, Dan, I love this, I love this."
I've got people being nice. All right, someone send some nice messages in about Graham so I can put them up. No one.
Yeah, there's a nice one there about Graham. Put that one up.
There you go, Stuart Ling. Good to have you. I didn't even read one
Stuart.
out.
Thanks, Stuart.
FMP8 Sam with the old, less of the old, Stuart, eh? Less of the old.
I think it's talking more. I think it's talking more about me.
we are the old guard, me and Graham are the oldest.
I'm the old guard.
Channel, so
yeah. But yeah, obviously Maguire. A lot of people was like, "We need Maguire in because we've got no captains in the team. We've got no leaders." I remember really going back and forth with a lot of fans saying, "How can you say that?" And I listed multiple players. And Zouma's had the armband. And he's done. Oh, look, there you go, Graham. We're leaving it. There you go. Graham, great. Yeah. Now we're just
Graham, the new 007.
Oh gosh. But yeah, so now, Zouma's took the armband. Moyes has cut
out. In the bottom one.
Well, great to have back in the house.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so there you go, Gray. There you go. You've got them all coming in
there
now.
You go. Thank you.
So anyway, basically, Zouma. Moyes has come out and basically said that Zouma's keeping the armband. He's going to remain our captain.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done a spectacular job. I think he's proved a lot of people wrong that didn't believe that we had any players capable of being a captain. We desperately needed Maguire to come and captain us. And we've started really well. And I think Zouma, he's good in the dressing room. He's got good personality that other players gravitate to. But he's very experienced at the highest level. And I think he's got good leadership capability. So I think it's been a great appointment by Moyes to have him as a captain.
I'm with you. Look, it was a big call for Moyes with the cat stuff and all that
Yeah,
circulates. You know, a lot of people have still used that against him. You know, he still gets banter from other fans about it and that type of thing. But as a captain, he stepped up to the plate, and you know, he's probably been our best defender so far this year. You saw against Luton, I think he got man of the match against Luton. You know, he's stepping up and he's embracing being the captain. And you know, the thing is, we were lacking leadership a little bit. You know, losing Nobes, losing Declan Rice. You know, you've got Creswell who's been captain before, Oggy who's been captain before, but you know, we've got leaders in that side. You know, you've got Zouma, you've got Aguerd, you've got O'Bonnell, you've got Ward-Prowse. You know, you've now got, I think Soucek's been captain before as well. So you've got players there, and you've got leaders in
The thing
key
is,
areas.
You don't just want. All right, you got your captain with the armband on, visible. You know, but you want at least 5 or 6 players out there who have got captain qualities. You know, are gonna sort of roll up their sleeves when it's back to the wall, sort of thing. You know.
Phil Brown says there, Alvarez, you know, another player who lead. These are players that lead by example on the pitch. You know, and like you said, Zouma seems to have a very good character in the dressing room. He seems to be liked by the players, and that always helps. You know, and again, this is now a different era for us as a football club. You know, we've stepped out of that Mark Noble era, the Declan Rice era was, you know, it was the time that, you know, he was captain when Noble wasn't in the side, and then obviously when Noble retired, he was the skipper. But now we're stepping out of that time. Now we're looking for new leaders, new people to lead the club and keep us pushing forward. And you know, Zuma's vastly experienced. He's played at the top level, so you know it's good to have him in.
Scott does the good chicken.
I love it. That's Scott's Scott's praise. The compliments that Scott gets. Picking up Scott, he cooks good, best chicken ever.
I've been at Scott's house for dinner. He does indeed cook good chicken.
There you go, everyone. If that's everything you needed to know about Scott. If Graham shaved his head, he would have similarities to the Hood in Thunderbirds.
Funnily enough, that was my nickname at my football club when I had very short hair.
Oh gosh. But yeah, so great appointment, great start to the season for Kurt Zouma. He's been absolutely vital to us, and he'll be vital tomorrow. This is something I hadn't heard. Fornals leaving for a free in the summer, apparently. Really disappointed. I think that's terrible news. Personally, I think I should try and tie him down on a contract.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Why is it terrible news?
Well, one, we've spent money on the geezer and we're losing him for free, so we're not going to get a transfer fee. Two, I think he's a quality player that has been misused, and he has stepped up in a lot of big moments for us, and there's a quality player there. So I think having him in the squad is key. And look, it seems like a great bloke, obviously in the dressing room as well. I think he's just great all round.
So I'd have liked to have seen him play in the middle, but unfortunately for him, with the caliber of players we've got in the middle, that's not going to happen.
Look, don't get me wrong. He's a good guy around the squad. You know, he always plays with a smile on his face. I think Moyes uses him completely wrong, playing him out on the left wing, and I'd like to see him in the middle more. But with the players we've got playing in his position in that midfield, he's not going to get game.
Yeah.
So free up the squad space, free up the wages. You know, it's you know, this is the thing when you look at it, you've got Paquetá in there. Look, chances are Paquetá might not be here by the start of next season if he keeps going the way he's got. You've signed Kudus, who can play in that position. By the looks of it, we're going to have Jesse Lingard, who can play in that position. You know, if Ward-Prowse can fit into that 10 role. So you've already got players there that do a bit more than what Fornals does. You know, I like Fornals, but a lot of the time people want him in the side because he runs around a lot. He's given us, he's been there when we've got some of the best memories of late. His goal.
I mean, he's
in a
winner in the
semi-final.
semi-final. Yeah.
And I'll always be thankful for that. But
a lot of people are saying they'd sooner have Pabs than.
I'll be honest. I really do like. I think Fornals he's a quality player, but he's just been played out. When we signed him, he'd been playing in the middle.
Yeah,
and we thought that's where we were going to be playing him, but he's been pushed out wide. Either wing. He's just been played out of position all the time. So you're not going to see the best of him.
But then if you've got the choice, you could put Benrahma in a 10. Who would you rather see in a 10, Benrahma or Fornals?
It depends who we're playing. If we're playing a Man City or something, I'd probably rather play Fornals there.
Because he runs around more.
Well, yeah. There's that. Yeah, that's it.
But to see,
he was quality in pre-season though, didn't he? Fornals, he's playing him in that central role.
Yeah, but as I said, it's one of those where you can't. There's no point keeping a player unless you're going to use him for his best abilities, and unfortunately, I don't see Moyes doing that. So, is going on a free probably the wrong decision if Moyes isn't signing a new contract? Probably is. Sign an extension, sign a year extension, see where the club are, see what the manager's doing, and then go from there. Because Fornals is going to get games. He's going to play in the European games. He'll probably play in the League Cup, and then it's in them games where he's got to step his level up. Step up and say, Gaffer, this is why you should pick me. But at the moment, Paquetá's the number 10. You're not displacing Paquetá.
So there you go.
But then, apparently, is it not better to have two players? Maybe in fighting for a place against Paquetá might improve him even more. You know what it's like when you got a player in your position, you want to fight for your spot. Like you say rightly, Paquetá's a number 10 at the minute, but like you say in the League Cup or Europe, give him a chance to shine in that position maybe. In the earlier
is he really battling? Is it just Paquetá who's battling for the number 10? I don't think he is. As a number 10, I think he's probably third choice.
But we haven't played him there, so we'll never know.
We've played him there. He played there pre-season, so we know he can play there. But what I'm saying is we've signed players.
You want to try him in competitive, proper.
But the thing is, if we got European football, to me. If we want to be able to rest play, because those players that you're talking about, Scott, that can play there, most of them are going to be playing in other positions in the league anyway. Like Kudus will be probably playing on one of the wings if Paqueta's playing in the 10, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
But then for Kudus to play, say wide left for argument's sake, then that means Benrahma's not in the side. Unless
Kudus plays wide right and Bowen's up top and Antonio,
there's so many variables in it.
Like you just have one player, because one player's not going to play every game all season. You need that's why you have a squad.
Yeah, I know. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just trying. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Tell him, Gray.
I'm playing. Why is
he plays already? But he's not going to play every single game. That's why you.
I'm not saying he is. But what I'm saying is the competition that he's got to play in that position, he's probably third choice in that position. He's third choice playing out on the left wing now. I'm just playing. I'm playing devil's advocate.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Every time I say something, you have to come and argue. You have to argue all the time.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
He don't have his own opinions. He just echoes the devil's opinions. That's it. You're a mouthpiece for the devil. Mouthpiece for the devil. So apparently, Everton have got new owners, but apparently they're crap, which is good for us because I was worried there. Apparently they've got this 777 company. Because I was looking at it, I heard about it, and I thought, there's another club that have got a new takeover while we're hoping to get ours, But apparently they're crap, so we might be all right. But a lot of people...
the thing is, I still don't know how Everton have got away with this FFP stuff.
Yeah, they really have got away with it.
We seem to be the only ones that stick to it.
Yeah, I know.
To be fair, us and Newcastle.
Newcastle have stuck to it.
777 is the betting company, isn't it?
I honestly don't know, mate.
I think that's the
yeah,
bet.
they weren't. Yeah, they was a betting company, weren't they?
So betting companies can buy clubs because maybe they're not allowed to sponsor clubs going forward. Investment platform. Oh, all right, yeah. I wouldn't want any. Oh, that's 888-777 their investment platform. Yeah, I wouldn't want any part of that. Like, it's mad that clubs. Obviously, it shows that you can still get sold from one crap ownership to another crap ownership. So, but yeah, a lot of people are saying and I said this yesterday. It's the real Super Cup tomorrow. The proper Super Cup between the two European champions. Brooks is going for a 2-1. I feel so weird about this game. Like, I'm not as worried and nervous as I should be, and it makes me more worried and nervous, and I can't explain that. It don't make sense, but it just is what it is.
Scott always says it's a free hit.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? It depends how hard you get hit.
Nobody outside of us would expect us to win that game. Outside of West Ham and West Ham fans, no one would expect
it depends how hard we get hit, Gray, because if we end up losing 5-0, then I can't sit here and go, it was a free hit. You know what I mean? So it all depends.
It's a game we can. Nobody's expecting us to win, so we can relax and just concentrate on their own game.
But do you say, Scott? I want to ask you this. I want to bring you in on this, Mr. Preview, because you did. I did watch. Obviously, I edited it. But for you, there are some fans will feel like we're at home. We should try and go at City a bit more. Be a bit more positive. Would you agree with that, or would you stick with, say, the Brighton way? Give up, have very little possession, sub 20%. And soak it up, and then hit them on counters.
If we won 3-1, no one to complain.
That's the thing. It's worked.
I'm just saying what's not in terms of, but what do you think is the best approach? Like,
if we try to go toe to toe with Manchester City, we get ripped to pieces and lose the game 5-0.
Yeah, then it will be a 4-5-0.
If we sit back, get in their faces, rough them up a bit, make it hard to play, it could still be 5-0. If you look at the first half against Chelsea, and you look at the Brighton game overall, I'm not going to criticise it because we won both games, and we won both games quite comfortably. But if you give Haaland the chances that we gave Brighton and the chances that we gave Chelsea, we're on the end of a hiding. You can't, unless he has a bad day in front of goal.
You can't give Haaland those sort of chances.
No. Brighton, look, we beat Brighton and we play well, but we relied heavily on Areola having a worldie. And he had a worldie. He pulled off so many good saves. The players, you need to cut them chances out to have any chance against a Manchester City. Sheffield United didn't go toe-to-toe with Man City. They roughed them up. They made themselves hard to beat. And you've got to do that against City. But you need to be, when you've got the ball, you need to be able to do with it. I think against Brighton and against Chelsea, we showed that. You can have the ball all day long. You want the ball, kick the ball. But when we get the ball, we're going to punish you. And I still feel that with the form Bowen's in, the form Antonio's in at the moment, the fact that we don't know whether Kudus is going to start, we don't know whether Benrahma's going to start, we have got the ability to deal with them on the break. Like Steve said there, no De Bruyne, no Kovacic, or whatever his name is. They're also missing the diving guy. Yeah, he's missing. So that's 3 quality players who are not playing. And we should be a little bit fresher. We have not got as many players who have been away on international duty. The worry for me is like Alvarez. Alvarez has returned really late. I think he was the last player back from international duty, which is annoying because I'm sure that was a pointless friendly. He was playing for Mexico. But all our other players seem to have come through the internationals unscathed. So we should be a bit fresher. But Man City, for me at the moment, are a completely different entity to any other side within the Premier League.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, just so good. Damo, did you see Damo's performance, by the way, lads? As Cher,
I haven't seen all of it. No,
I haven't seen it yet. No,
you weren't able to stomach it. Damo dressed as Cher, singing "Believe" on the watch along. It's a sight to see. I think that was on the Bournemouth watch along too. But yeah, look, if we can get something, it'd be huge. I just hope that it isn't a rollover. We haven't seen that under Moyes, to be fair. But,
apart from last season at home, opening day, I mean, it was a bit of a training game, really, wasn't it? We didn't really lay a glove on them, but most of the games before that, we'd given them a game. It'd only been the odd goal, or we'd drawn, or it's so we can do it. We've just got to get a bit closer to them than we did last season. We didn't. I mean, we sat off, but we didn't really go. We didn't go and press the ball or anything. We let them have all the time in the world. So I know you can't go chasing the ball, but you got to at least get close to them.
Yeah, but last season I think that set the tone for our season. Do you know what I mean? That performance there against Man City set the tone for our season, because it was, we ain't going to win, so let's keep the score down. And, it was like a boxer going out there and trying to jab his way out of a fight, but getting the knockout blow done to him twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going
to do like Nicky when I can't remember. Oh, it was me and Ryan and with Nicky, and then he just progressively got worse over the stream, and then just started rambling, and we were like, "Wait, what's going on here?" He was like, "Oh, I'm drunk." But you're right, and I think, to me, I know obviously you and Ryan said about you wouldn't play Soucek. I think Soucek's one of them. Like, if we can focus on getting the goal, bring second half, maybe 67 minutes, we do want to try and really see out that win or that draw, then maybe bring him on later into the game, as that, rather than start him, and I think we can do it. I mean, prediction wise, I know you did one, but we'll see if you've slept on it, Scott, and changed your mind. But I'm feeling, I keep saying this, I've said this on every preview I've done, 2-2, I think.
I was going to go with Desmond.
I knew it. That's why I got mine in first.
It's quite strange, because Ryan went for the same 2-2. I went for 1-1.
Yeah, only because he went for 2-2 and you wanted to go.
That was what it was. I was thinking 2-2 as well, so I went for 1-1 just to be a bit different. But look, we ain't going to keep a clean sheet. I don't think we've kept a clean sheet in 13 fixtures, 13 games. And that's something to worry about. Because
you have got to be a team that defends, to keep the clean sheet against City.
Yeah, but for a team that defends the way we defend and don't have the ball that often, you need to be getting clean sheets, because at the end of the day, I think other sides have shown that sometimes clean sheets win your matches. Because like you look at the Arsenals back in the day winning 1-0. You see out teams. You've got to be stronger defensively. And as I said, we've given Brighton and Chelsea far too many chances. So stick to the similar tactics in that game against City. Try and catch them on a break, but just toughen up in the midfield to stop the chances being created. Yeah. The way you stop Haaland is you stop Haaland getting the ball.
I was gutted when we conceded against Luton. Like, even though it was just like I wanted that clean sheet so bad, and we conceded. It was just.
And the thing is, it created a nervy last 3 or 4 minutes of injury time.
Yeah.
That didn't need to be, because we were so comfortable in that game.
No, but I just wanted to end the game with a clean sheet. I wanted that 2-0 so bad, just to say, okay, we've not conceded in the game, so this is a tall ask to. I mean, look, I would snatch your hand. I'd snatch all your hands off for a 1-0. Like, it'd be huge.
You know what? This is the most confident I've felt for a good few seasons against City about getting something out of the game.
Mate, the thing is, right, as me and Ryan turned around and said at the start of the preview, if Everton versus Sheffield United the other week was a 6-pointer, this is a 6-pointer.
Yep, that's it, mate. It's technically it is top of the table clash.
Sounds Chaplin and Stevie Ray.
Still top of the table clash. So yeah, Listen, we're all going to be there. It's going to be good. It'll be a big game, exciting game. I think the atmosphere is going to be good. One of the rare Saturday 3:00 kickoffs that we'll have. So, yeah, we're looking down. We're going to get there down to the fan zone. Check that out. The fan zone at the podium bar. Going to be all sorts. They've got pie and mash, bit of Robin's pie and mash going on. So we're going to get down there. Yeah, do some streaming before the game. Maybe have a bit of pie and mash and be back there afterwards. DJs, all sorts of stuff. Post-match pint going on. Fan cams uploaded. And all of that good stuff. And the watch-along, I think Jays will be doing the watch-along. I don't know if Shirley, or a.k.a. Damo, will be there. I'll find out. But, yeah, be good, lads. Any last words?
No.
No, mate. No. If you haven't watched it already, go check out my preview with Ryan and Dan's video as well. He's been on a couple of videos with opposition previews for this game coming up. So make sure you go and check all them out.
Yes.
Dan, your beard is looking very luxurious this week, I have to say. You had a little trim up there. It's looking very tidy.
I did. I had a bit of trim earlier. I've kept on top of it since Nick Tucker was really
last time I saw you looked like Uncle Albert, but you actually, it looks a lot trimmer there. So.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if anyone here remembers the Graham beard from many years ago, Upton Park days.
Yeah, even my dad dug me out about that one.
Yeah,
when your dad's digging you out, that's when I know it's time to go. Like, it's got to go.
Time to go. So. Yeah, honestly. But yeah, no, it was a great show, lads. Obviously, listen, there weren't headlines galore, but we had a good chat talking about West Ham and England, all the goings on, and with the chat, you all make it. So yeah, tomorrow, lots of match day content. Watch out for us. We'll be all over the gaff, and I'll be dragged up that bloody orbit, which I really don't like. Honestly, it's terrifying.
You're abseiling off of it by the end of the season, mate. Don't worry about that.
Mate. I tell you what, if we win the league, I might have to. Even if we won the league, I don't think I could bring myself to do it. Just being up there, I shit myself. Honestly,
yeah.
But yeah, thank you all for watching. Fitzy, Philip Demacoli, and he's been one of the long time viewers.
Yes.
Like long time.
Yeah, he's been with us a long time.
Since the Upton Park days. So I know he remembers the Graham beard.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't know what I was thinking, Dan, to be honest. I really don't.
You really liked it. You was so
no, I was thinking, I'll get like, I'll like Viking beard and all that, but no, not really.
We need to find a picture. We'll go dig out a screenshot.
I'm sure you can find. Dan, you always manage to find something embarrassing about me, so I'm sure you can find something.
We'll get on it. I mean, Scott has like a dossier of embarrassing stuff on you, so he probably.
Oh, you're keeping that in reserve, are you? Because it always seems to be me that cops it. And I've been nothing but nice to you, Dan. Nothing but nice. I know we have a little row now and again. On Friday night Pint.
Listen, it's not my fault. Scott keeps a collection of embarrassing Graham stuff, and he likes to.
So Scott gives them to you. Oh, it's all coming out now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Off camera, we're having a chat.
We're gonna have a chat.
Now it's all coming out.
Oh my god! I remember this favourite one. We're watching 8 Years Going Strong. I remember the beard, and when Nicky and Ryan had big argument over Schweinsteiger. Yes, so we had the beard then. Man United away in the cup, in the FA Cup, when Schweinsteiger fouled Adrian, I think it was,
and
Randolph, wasn't it?
I think actually when I had a beard, I think I looked like. Do you remember in Family Guy when Peter Griffin grew a beard and the little birds were living in there? That's what I looked like.
It was a foul one. It was a foul on the.
It was 100%. It was a foul.
Why didn't you say it then? You didn't back him up, did you? You was like, oh.
No, I said it was a foul. I'm sure I said it was a foul.
Scott did his usual. Listen, Nicky. I see what you're saying. I think you're right? But I think you're right. It was a foul, and it wasn't a foul at the same time. Scott would come in and do his fence sitting. I see what you're saying, and I see what you're saying. It was a row for the ages. So you can go back and look in the archives and find that. Man, what was the score in the end? Was it 1-1?
1-1.
Yeah, we got knocked out in the replay, didn't we?
I'll tell you, it was like the
bowling, didn't we? In the
It
pub.
was like the Frost
Bowling
Nixon
pub.
interview. That's what it was like.
Yeah, that was it. We watched it in the bowling pub. Pint scored the legendary free kick, and then
Yeah. We was at the bowling, weren't we?
Yep. And then Schweinsteiger cheated. So
Yes,
Exactly.
he did.
Exactly.
He did.
Could have been.
You're
It's
quite
just
right,
asked for an
Daniel.
update
You're quite right,
on.
Daniel.
Sorry, mate. Miss Emirates just updated an FMP Live 2. It's still in the pipeline.
I feel it's horrible when we keep having to say we have no real updates. I can't remember.
No, we've not got a real update at the minute, but it is coming. I know Christmas is coming as well, but it is coming.
We've got the venue kind of. We're like sorting out the venue. It's just timing, I think, and then logistics.
Yeah.
So probably be
it's basically getting stuff finalised.
Yeah, probably be Stratford. I can tell you that much. Everyone probably will. So yeah. Anyway, we'll shut up now. Thank you all for watching. One thing left to say: come on, you Irons!
Come on, you Irons!